Yeah, so during the second time that I was in prison, I reached my lowest point ever. Family gave up on me, had no support at all. Spent my first 4 years incarcerated just alone, watching other guys get visits, watching other guys live better than me. I was hustling to survive in there. You got to do what you got to do to get by. My thing was artwork. So that took me pretty far in there. But the first year was definitely the worst for me. Didn't know how much time I was going to get. I was fighting my case. I didn't even take a plea bargain. I went to trial. I lost all the way around the board. They brought the canine in the courtroom. I'm like, how are you going to tell me that a canine, is legit? And then they just began to speak on all of this training that this dog goes through. It was a very crazy process. Lost at trial, went to sentencing, figured I was about to get my boots smoked up in there. And I was already facing mandatory minimum time, didn't snitch, wore everything myself. Initially, upon getting arrested, once I was caught dead to rights, I copped to everything to try to help the two people who were with me. And I did. So that didn't help me at all. When I went to sentencing, my mandatory minimum time was 7.5 years. They sentenced me to, 21 years with everything suspended minus the 7.5 years, something along those lines. So while locked up, I told myself, if I get another chance at life, and this was, waiting to go to trial and, praying and just hoping everything was going to work out. I told myself, I said, if I get another chance at life, I got to try to do it different. Completely different, whatever that may entail. I just cannot keep doing this. I'm seeing guys in here who, they've been to prison more times than me, and I didn't want to be that. I hated to see that for them, So artwork was a huge part of what helped me get through my time. And it was the only thing that was giving me hope, which I consider one of the biggest things that you have to have while serving time. If you don't have hope for anything, you got to find something to hope for. And you don't need support. You don't need people sending you money and anything like that. You can find that hope within yourself. The hope that I found was through the artwork that I was creating. I'm not a very talented artist. I create cartoon artwork at the very best. And I used what I was able to do to start beginning to create cartoons like you would see in the newspaper. I started sending those to different publications. I had dreams of becoming this Playboy cartoonist, like cartoons that you might see in those sort of magazines. And even though maybe it was far-fetched or maybe it just sounded crazy, it was something that I had that kept me driven. Throughout the course of time, the 7 years that I ended up serving, my ideas started to transform into bigger things. I started writing crazy stories of things that were taking place up inside of the jail and the prison. And I had a blog. By this point, I had found a pen pal who was helping me get my blog published, and so that was exciting for me. And then I was reading a magazine one day, and I learned about YouTube. Now, YouTube was out prior to me, getting arrested. But I read an article about, people who were being successful, sharing their lives and their stories. And I'm looking at these people and I'm like, man, you haven't even lived a life. You're sharing a life that doesn't even matter to me. I couldn't care less about your life. Your life is nowhere near as crazy as my life and the lives of these people that I'm locked up with. And that got my wheels turning and spinning, thinking, what if I came home and I found a way to try to figure out how to share my life? Because isn't my life going to be interesting? Thinking, here's a guy who's coming home after continuous and constant failure in my own personal life. And for once, I'm going to really try. I'm not just going to say I'm going to try. I'm going to really try to put the axe to the grindstone and try to make a difference for my life. And if I can chronicle that through videos or, through my blog, whatever way, maybe there could be something to that. I got released from prison in October of 2015, October 13th, 2015. I've been home for almost 6 years now. I think this year makes 6 years, maybe 5. I'm starting to lose count. I've never been in the free world, what I consider out here in society, this long at all. The longest I had ever lasted was 18 months prior to getting locked up again. When I reached those 18 months and then that 2-year mark, I couldn't tell you how scared I was because this was new to me. I'm used to going right back. But by that point, I had really already started to put the groundwork together. And again, when I came home on October 13th, 2015, it wasn't a month later that I had found somebody who could help me learn how to use a computer and how to film. And, really start learning this YouTube game. And I started chronicling my story, and not only my story, other people's stories as well.